Yes, as you mentioned, just go ahead and type in any of the messages in the Google chat, and we will get back to them.
This is also being recorded, so if you all don't want your cameras on, you're not forced to.
Okay, so why should we network? And I think the biggest thing, the biggest factor about networking is that it is a way for you to market and brand yourself. When you're in the job market, especially when you are first entering the job market, you have a set of skills and experience and strengths, and you know how good you are, and maybe a few people close to you know how good you are, but you need to be able to show others, different companies, organizations, hiring managers, recruiters. You need to be able to show them how good you are. And, when you're applying to a job, usually you are competing with, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of other applicants. And, maybe they have the same exact, maybe they have the same or similar skills or experience. And, how are you going to stand out? And that's where the networking can really help you. It plays as a marketing strategy. You're marketing yourself, branding yourself. You're trying to set yourself apart from the others, and that's really how networking can help you. You build this network of people that can add some validity, and can add some color to who you are, and your resume. The resume is just kind of your if you were like a product, it'd be your product specification or your specs. And when you network and you gather this group of people who can vouch for you, or maybe give you a referral or a reference or connect you with others, really opens a lot of opportunities, doors, and really add some color to who you are and add some color to your application. um, Also, networking helps a lot with getting you some very specific or tailored career advice. If you're going down a certain path and you have a lot of questions, you can always find, especially digitally, if you connect with someone, you can find someone who's been through a similar career path or similar educational path, and you can connect with them, and they can tell you exactly all the ups and downs, and give you some really specific and tailored advice that can really help you make your decisions. And so I'm going to pass it off to Milan, who's going to be, actually, we are both going to be discussing in further detail, specifically digital networking, i.e., we're going to talk about LinkedIn. And then afterwards, Nahum will take over and he will be talking more in-person networking. Um, so with that, I'll let Milan go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Melas. Like you said, we're going to talk about networking on LinkedIn. So the first thing I want to talk about on LinkedIn is your profile. So it's like your first impression. You don't really get the opportunity for someone to, or to present yourself to somebody when they're looking at your page. You know, for instance, like if you're in person, you decide how you're going to dress. You're going to know exactly what you say, and you decide when you want to meet this person. Whereas on LinkedIn, someone just clicks on your profile whenever they feel they want to. So it's best that you prepare yourself at all times. So you want to make sure that your profile is perfect. So it'll include your picture, your about, your experience, whether that be job or volunteer, your header, education certificates, honors, awards, recommendations, and more. And I'll go into detail about each of these sections and how you can benefit from them. So first, we'll talk about the profile picture, header, and banner. Your profile picture. So it should be a headshot. We want to know what your face looks like. You want to dress nicely. The photo quality should be pretty nice so that they can see your picture fully. Selfies can be okay. You know, you don't want the duck face. You don't want one of these selfies. Everyone has an iPhone or a nice Android, whatever the case may be, and you can take pretty good headshots with those. So those selfies are okay. And on your profile picture, you can write open to work versus hiring if you're okay with letting companies know that you're looking for a job, or if you're okay with letting possible, employees know that you're hiring. Your header. So a lot of people make the mistake of only writing their current title in their header, but you can use so much more than that. You can put positions that you feel like your skills would be really great at, or positions you've held in the past, or a position you want to hold in the future. You want to use the header section to your advantage because when recruiters are looking up, let's say I'm looking for UX designer. Maybe I'm not a UX designer right now, but one day I could be, or I have the skills to do so. I want to put that in my header. So when a recruiter is looking for me, I pop up in their search feed. It just opens up more opportunities to you. And your banner is the background, kind of like on Facebook, how you have a banner behind your profile picture. It's just an extension of your profile picture. Be creative. It can be about a passion that you have, a cause you support, your company, your what you want other hiring managers or other employees to see about you. So we're going to go to my LinkedIn page and I will show you an example of this section. So there we have my profile picture. It's a nice little headshot from graduation. And then the background is just something, a quote that I believe in. When you learn, you teach, when you get, you give. And then if you go under my name, you'll see my header. So currently I'm a recruiting coordinator. So I wrote that, but I also wrote titles that I've held in the past or a title that I'd like to hold in the future so that a recruiter, when they're looking up, customer success specialist, I might pop up towards the top of their feed. So that is those first three things I wanted to talk about, and then we can go back to the presentation. So your about and your experience section, they kind of blend together, but you want to make sure that you're differentiating between the two. In your about, you're doing an introduction. It's a about me section. You talk about your interests, you show your character, what you are like outside of work, or what you do at work. But you don't want to list, like your resume bullets. That you'll kind of leave in the experience section. So in the experience section, you talk about your responsibilities while you're at work, volunteering, clubs, organizations, whatever the case may be, and you highlight the skills. You want to make sure that you use metrics when possible. For example, if you've trained 20 people, write down that you've trained 20 people as opposed to writing, I trained employees. And don't repeat what you already said in the about section and vice versa. So if we go to LinkedIn, my about section is a little blurb about myself. I said, it's not up to date, but when I was a front office manager, I had many titles. So I just wrote down that what my titles essentially were, and I tied that into my values without necessarily saying exactly what I did for the company. I left that down for the experience page. So if you scroll down a little bit, Melis, in the experience for the front office manager at Brookhaven Animal Hospital, I listed all the things that I thought were relevant for my next person, my next hiring manager or colleague to see. As we can see, it's not up to date. I could be updating it more, and I'll work on that. But it's important that you differentiate the difference between the experience page and the about section. You can make it as long as you want. It's really up to you. If you don't think someone wants to read an entire book about you, sure, don't write it. But it's really about your comfort level and what you want people to know about you. Next. Skills and recommendations. So the skills section, you write down your skills. So it could be PowerPoint, or if you're good at, Adobe, whatever the case may be, you type that in. And then on top of that, you can have someone endorse you because you can say that you're good at whatever the case may be, but no one's really going to believe you unless you have that to back you up, unless you have people backing you up. So you can have your coworkers, your friends, anybody on LinkedIn that's worked with you can endorse your skills. And you can get badges even. They have little like mini tests, maybe 5 questions, 10 questions probably for different kind of skill sets to show that you are actually good at what you say you're good at, right? And then recommendations. Always ask for a recommendation. Ask the people that are in this chat, ask the people that you live with, ask the people that you've worked with, ask them for a recommendation, and it'll be highlighted on your page. It's just a nice way for people to know that you are about what you say you are. So if you go to the LinkedIn, we'll go to skills. I typed in a couple skills. I have some people that have endorsed me. And it's nice for you. If you endorse other people, they're more likely to endorse you as well. As far as recommendations, I don't think I've received any, but I have given recommendations. Hmm. Scroll up. Oh, cool. Next page. And there's other things. So you can talk about your education. You can talk about the clubs, the activities, your GPA, whatever it is you want to highlight from school. You can add that into the education section. You can do certificates. I don't know if you all know about Coursera, but it's a website where you can get certifications for certain things like project management. They have data entry, all kinds of things. LinkedIn also offers certificates. You can get them from edX. There's just many places you can get a certification and you can highlight it on your LinkedIn page. Same thing for honors and awards. If you got it from volunteering, if you got it from school or work, and you want to show people that you were awarded something special, then you put that on there. And interests, that can be great for if you are, if you're really passionate about Black Lives Matter or a company or a school, and you want other people to know that you have that passion, so that way you can see that you have common interests. You add that onto your LinkedIn. And if you speak several languages, put that on there as well. I think we can go to LinkedIn to show some of those. For instance, there's the education. I only wrote that I was a biology major, nothing else special that I did there. Honors and awards, I talked about getting Dean's List, President's List. And then I talked about the languages that I speak and my interests. And I think next is to kick it off to Melis.
All right. Thank you, Milan. So Milan's giving you guys a lot of information about how to, of course, build your profile. And really with LinkedIn, that's definitely the first step, especially I don't know if you're new to it or just starting, or maybe your profile is not as built out as it needs to be. And to go from there, you really want to start building your network on LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about building connections. That's kind of the term that LinkedIn uses. When you're, it's kind of the equivalent of Facebook friend or sending a friend request. You send a connection request. And now, if you're just starting out and you just kind of have a newish LinkedIn profile, then when you're building your connections, you really just start with the people that the people closest to you, friends or family who may have LinkedIn profiles, co-workers, members of your community or your church, or fellow students, people you volunteer with. If they have LinkedIn profiles, go ahead and add them on there. Build up your connections. Because the thing with that is, whoever they're connected with as well, they kind of show up as like a mutual connection. So, maybe you can connect with that person as well. And the bigger your network is, the more doors open for you. Now I'm going to talk about proactively making connections on LinkedIn. Now, the thing with LinkedIn is you can kind of proactively search for different groups, or organizations, people that you can connect with. And what you want to do is you want to really be proactive. Don't just wait for, I don't know, the time that you see a job that you like, or maybe to start really trying to connect with someone. Maybe you saw a position and you're like, oh, let me try to connect with someone and maybe they'll give me a recommendation. You really want to be proactive and get ahead. And if you see different organizations or different companies or industries, don't just wait for a job posting. Really try to go to those places and find people that you can connect with, so that when the time comes, a door will open for you. And it's a lot easier to really open doors that way. So you really want to search for those companies through LinkedIn, and I'll walk through how to do that on the actual website. Um, definitely try to build a rapport with your connection that you're making, and it's really gonna just like increase that chance of you, either getting some advice, or maybe they'll give you a reference, or maybe they'll even open up a completely new opportunity for you if they like you. Um, so definitely be very proactive. If you don't have any ideas of like companies or organizations that you're interested in, definitely you can always, do just a quick search. For example, add this link right here, at least for those who are Atlanta-based, Fortune 500 companies in Atlanta. You can do the same. Whatever city you're based in, look up top companies there and start searching them up on LinkedIn. Most likely, they all have LinkedIn pages. You can follow them, and when you follow them, they'll always put postings about internships they may have or jobs they may have, recruiting events or career events. Especially during this pandemic, there a lot of companies have had virtual career events, and a lot of the times through LinkedIn. So finding those companies and following them, and trying to connect with employees from those companies can really open up doors. All right, and now this is a bit more of a reactive search. So before I was saying there's proactive, and that's more, looking for those companies that you may be interested in. Reactive is more, maybe you see a job that you like, and um, you use that as kind of your starting point. Maybe you see, oh, here's a data analyst position at Google, and then you go to LinkedIn and you search for Google, and you try to look for an employee or a recruiter, and you try to find out more information through that way. Now, usually that can have some success, but what I found is sometimes people are going to be willing to, kind of help you out. But if you kind of get ahead of the, um, try to get ahead and be proactive, you can really build more of a relationship and rapport, and definitely get more success with trying to either get information or recommendations through that way. And let me go ahead and go to LinkedIn. Um, so I can show you guys a bit of what I've been talking about. Okay, so let me. All right, so right here at the top, you will see this search bar. And for example, let's go ahead and get started with, let's just say Google. We do a search on Google. And generally, if you haven't followed the page already, which looks like I haven't, so I'm going to go ahead and follow it. That's a good starting point. And then you want to go ahead and try to find people who are employed at Google. And generally, this will show you two things: either people that currently work at Google, and maybe people who have previously worked at Google. And you want to use the filters to try to make sure you find people who have the most things in common with you. For example, a good starting point is if they're in the same location as you. So, in my case, that would be Atlanta. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Atlanta. And then there are some more filters here. Whatever you really want to use your search criteria that's going to try to make a connection between you and the person that you're looking for. Because the thing is, whoever is going to have more similarities with you, they're going to be more willing to be responsive and really to help you out. So I like putting, if it's an alumni of the school that you went to, I would do that. So for example, if I put Georgia State, that's a pretty big school here in Atlanta. I know there's a lot of people here that go to the school, so maybe I'll put Georgia State. And generally, I think that'll be enough for now. You don't want to get too specific because you may filter too many people out and you won't get enough results back. So let's go ahead and do that. And now I've got a couple people here. And what you could do from here is you can, definitely send some connection requests. And Milan is going to, a bit later in the presentation, she's going to go more into detail of how to message people when you're connecting with them. Never just send a connection request. There's an option to add a note. You always want to add a note to send a connection because it makes it more personalized. But yeah, like I mentioned, Milan will go over that later. But that's kind of how you'll do your search and look for people to connect with. Um, you can go through here, and generally I advise look for people who have a role that you're interested in, or the similar role that you have now. Try to connect with those people, and definitely connect with recruiters as well, because they will be the ones in charge of any positions that you may be interested in, and they'll be able to tell you information about maybe upcoming recruiting events or career fairs that the company may have. Okay, and I'm going to pass it off to Milan, and she's going to go over about how to send your messages or connection notes.
All right. So Melis mentioned a little bit earlier that you can send a note on LinkedIn because it's free, but LinkedIn message is something you typically have to pay for. So I think you have to have uh, not like a premium version in order to send a certain amount of messages to people who aren't already one of your connections. However, if they're already a connection with you, you can send as many messages as you would like. And the only downside to the connection note is that there is a character limit. I'm not sure of how much it is, but in a message via LinkedIn message, you don't have that character limit. So, in general, in the message, you want to introduce yourself, mention some kind of commonalities that you might have, or something that you notice from a post that they put on LinkedIn, or anything that they've shown interest in, and then express your interest. Give a brief sentence about your experience and skills, and then finally the ask. So, an example of a message that worked in my favor would be on the next slide. So I reached out. I put a kind of captivating message as the what is that called? The not header.
I think header works. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. In the header. And I said, hey, to the recruiter, told her what I'm currently doing, told her that I'm interested in the position that she was hiring for. And at the end, I asked her what was her pup's name because I've only met 3 English Mastiffs and they're goofballs. The reason why I bring that up is because on her actual LinkedIn page, she was like, hey, reach out to me if you want to talk about my dogs. And I mean, lucky enough, I worked at an animal hospital. I know a little bit about dogs. She loves her dogs. And this worked out in my favor because they were actually done accepting applications at that time. But she thought the message was personal enough and she added me and I got the job. So you never know. Next slide. So being active. LinkedIn is a social media platform, so you have to use it as such. You're on Instagram all the time, connecting with people, commenting on people's things. Do the same thing on LinkedIn. Like Mela said, there's reactive versus proactive. In proactive, you're engaging with people, you're joining groups, you're following companies, people, hashtags, you're commenting on posts. In reactive, you can use hashtags to find job posts that you're looking for. So if you're looking for example recruiting coordinating, if that's the job you want, you would search up hashtag recruiting coordinator, hashtag I'm hiring, because then it'll populate all these posts of people who wrote down that they're hiring for a recruiting coordinator, as opposed to you just going to the job searching itself and looking for the jobs. Now you know the person who's looking for it, and you can reach out to them and say, hey, I'm interested. Thank you for posting. Another thing that I used to do when I was job searching was I would look up people who were, or I'd add people who were also looking for jobs and then read the comments about like in their section. Let's say they're like, hey, I'm looking for a job in UX design. Then there people would flood their comments and say, hey, I'm hiring for this position. And then that's my opportunity to slide into their messages like, hey, I saw you're hiring. I'm also interested in this role. So there's a lot of gold there, right? And before you comment on any post from a hiring manager or from a recruiter, make sure you learn a little bit about the company because you want to show that you're interested by showing that you care for the company or their mission or that you did some research. Because if you're just applying just to apply, no one's really interested in that. Next slide. So I was looking for a recruiting coordinating job here, and I looked at this recruiter's page. I noticed that he used Canva, and I talked to him about I talked to him about why I was interested, what I'm doing, and I looked into the company and saw that they were really big on processes and things like that. And we had a whole conversation in his post. I got an interview. I made it pretty far. The job just wasn't for me. So you there's just a lot of ways that you can reach out to people as opposed to just pressing apply on the job post. Next, please. So additional things about LinkedIn. So you can get free LinkedIn Premium if you're a student, and some companies even offer it to you. Beware of scams. Don't really put your personal address out there. If you don't want your phone number out there, don't put it on. Same thing for your emails. And people do message you randomly about things that seem a little too good to be true. So just be aware of that. And there are different events that are hosted online. I go to different Adobe Cloud events and they just show you how to use Photoshop. Or there's even recruiting events, all kinds of things. So look out for that too. And I think next is Nahom talking about networking in person.
And just a reminder, if anyone has questions, please type it in the chat, and we will look back at it after the presentation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Melis, Milan, I need you guys to confirm. Can you hear me? And you can understand what I'm saying? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody just joining, my voice is Batman. It is what it is. So we're going to deal with it. Thanks for joining, everybody. So I really want to start off by saying, if we're talking about in the professional world, if we're talking about, I mean, in a sense, life, there's two values, right? There's two resources, if you will, two main resources. Talking about tangible, physical, not getting into spiritual or metaphysical or anything like that. So one is time, two is people, right? I say that because time is non-renewable. You'll never get any time back whatsoever. It's really the only truly non-renewable resource. People, capable, good, skilled, talented people, very hard to come by. Very hard to come by. And especially now, it is in real estate, they have this term buyer's market, seller's market, where it's favoring the seller or the buyer. Right now, it's an employee's market, right? So with that being said, Melis and Milan, they just went over how to really make yourself more valuable on the online side of things, right? So my goal is to make you guys more valuable in person once you get past online. All right, so we're going to talk about in-person networking. First off, how? Let's talk about the basics, okay? C factors. Acronyms usually help remember things. It stands for smile, eye contact, enthusiasm, okay? Pretty simple. When you smile, you build comfort with someone. When you make eye contact, you build trust with someone. You can imagine how much you trust somebody that's looking around like this as they're trying to speak to you, right? Or can't make eye contact. And then last but not least, E is enthusiasm. When you're enthusiastic, people are gonna want to speak to you, talk to you. Now, the reason I want to start with that is sometimes in some cultures, eye contact it's rude almost, right? You're supposed to look down. That's not gonna work here. Not in America. That's not how it works. So a little rule that you can have in the professional setting is 50% when you're talking to somebody, 100% when you're listening to someone. So because if you're just talking to somebody and you're just not blinking and staring right at them, it gets weird in a couple seconds, right? That's a good rule of thumb. Make contact, pretty literally, handshake, fist bump, elbow bump, whatever. There's some people doing ankle bumps, whatever. Touch touch somebody that you want to build a relationship with. And I mean purely professionally, because when you touch someone, it's a sort of endorphin that's released that makes them want to trust you more, right? So that's why a handshake's so important. And it is what it is, 2022. But fist bumps, I just fist bump. I really do. Too many handshakes, but fist bumps are cool. Elbow bumps cool. Whatever it is, you gotta make contact. The more intimate the touch, the more you trust someone. That's why you hug people that you know a little bit more. You shake someone's hand that you don't really know that well. If you're in a relationship, that's why you kiss someone, right? So don't go around trying to kiss potential employers or anything like that, guys. But you guys get the point. Image. So image isn't everything, but it is. At the end of the day, you might know you're a great person and you're qualified and you have educational accomplishments and professional, great professional background. They don't know that. This person doesn't know that. And at the end of the day, even if they can see your resume, if the image doesn't line up, then it doesn't line up, right? So image is everything. That's hygiene. That's business professional or casual, whatever the setting calls for. A lot of things. Online image. A lot of things that they were talking about, Milan Ellis, was online image. So one rule of thumb, little tip, is if you're not sure what the dress code is, when in doubt, dress up. You'll never regret being a little bit overdressed for an occasion, but you will regret being underdressed. You might not get out of the car if you pull up to the function and you're underdressed. So that's for basic communication skills. Quantity versus quality. Gauge the setting. Gauge what kind of situation are you in, right? Are you in a career fair? Are you in an intercompany social, right? Gauge the setting. See, do you have time to spend a lot of time with several different people or several different companies? If it's some sort of career fair or volunteer fair, internship fair. So gauge that and then go from there, right? See if you need to talk about yourself, right? Do you need to promote yourself? Is it a situation where you want to be selling yourself, or is it a situation where you want to be listening, taking in all the information, right? Do you want to be able to contact 10 different companies at an event, or do you find 3 that you really like and spend all your time with them? So just gauge the situation, see quantity versus quality. Build a relationship. I loved Milan's comment or her note to the employer about the English Mastiffs. Was it English Mastiff, Milan? Yeah. So that was great. That's building a relationship. That right there set her apart from everybody else. I guarantee you, almost nobody else asked about her English Mastiffs and mentioned that they're goofballs. So you get done with an interview, send a follow-up email, right? Thanks for the time. You meet somebody in person and they give you their business card. Send a follow-up email, a text, whatever's appropriate. But those little things, I would say, put you automatically in the top 30%, if not 20%, of just setting yourself apart. Ask relevant questions. Nothing's more attractive than somebody coming into a situation with a little bit of knowledge, right? When you've done your homework on the company, they like that. They're like, oh, they were looking at us, okay? It makes them feel good. It strokes their ego. So you want to do that. You want to ask relevant questions. You want to do some homework ahead of time, whether it's an individual or the company itself. And confidence is key. So how do you build confidence? One thing you want to throw out is the fact that you're born with confidence. It's not the case. You're not, right? Confidence comes from repetition. You need to do something and then you do it again and then you do it again and you keep doing it. And you just become more confident as you do it, which sounds self-explanatory, but too many times people shoot themselves in the foot because they're just like, that's not me. I'm not a networking kind of person. That's self-imposed limitations. So you want to be able to put yourself out there, put yourself in situations where you're going to have to do it over and over and over again. Practice in the mirror if you have to, practice with a friend, family, whatever it is, because more equals more, right? The more you do something, the more opportunities you give yourself, then the better you're going to get at it. Next slide, please, Mel. All right, what's a network about? Have an objective, all right? Whatever sports anybody here watches or likes, soccer, basketball, football, whatever it is, track and field, like you're going to have to, the whole point of it is to get somewhere, right? Imagine playing soccer with no objective. They're just passing the ball around and doing tricks, rainbows over people's heads. That'd be silly. Nobody will watch that. So you got to have an objective when you come into an event. Game plan, is it, depending on the situation, what are you here to do? Are you here to build a relationship with this certain higher up, this boss? Are you here to get as much exposure to the tech field as you can? What are you here to do? Find your purpose. What's the situation? Internships, volunteering, employment. You already have the company. Are you looking for more? Right? Are you looking to grow from there? And that's really important, because this isn't just about networking outside of the company. I was sent our HR director earlier this year. She sent us the 2022 annual report from Monster, which is a job platform, right? And it was talking about, it did a study all of North America, Canada, US, and Western Europe in terms of recruitment styles, internal versus external. So meaning external meaning they hire from outside the company, internal meaning they hire from within. 74% of companies we're talking all of North America and Western Europe, 74% of companies hire internally now, as of last year. 26% hire external. That used to be like 10 years ago, that was almost 50-50. So it's changed. People want to hire from people that have been within the company. So you want to take advantage of that. So don't think just because you're already in the company, this doesn't apply. This applies even more so. So what do you want to talk about? Yes, have a game plan on what you want to talk about. Do you want to figure out more about this person's background? Do you want to sell yourself on why? Did you find something that connects you? What are you there to really speak of? I have a side note: avoid friends. You don't want to talk about friends. You don't want to be with friends. If you go to an event or a social or a mixer with friends, run. You should plan it out. You should say, we're not going to talk to each other until the end of the event, because it's comfortable, right? It's comfortable speaking to friends, sticking with them, somebody but you're not there to hang out with a friend. You could have done that before or after. You're there to learn and to grow. By the way, guys, this right here, this is a friend. This counts. That's your best friend. Let's be honest. Don't be on the phone. Don't be on the phone. It's an escape, and we do it because it's safe. But that's not what you're there for, right? So there's a saying that I like a lot. It says that, like, if you're here and your comfort zone is here, growth is somewhere over there, right? So you can't, if you're thinking like, oh, I'm really comfortable here, you're probably not growing. Next slide, please. Also, anybody has any questions or can't hear me because of the voice, please type it in the comments. When should you network? All right, so always in your sleep. Make it your default. You want to make networking a mindset, right? You basically want to make it to where you see something of interest, or somebody you don't know. Make it your default to introduce yourself to that person, right? Family and friends included, use your community. A lot of us here have a really strong community that we'd be silly not to use. Talking about, you ask your family, friends, people that you know, what do they do? What industry are they in? You might have already known, they might have switched into an industry that you've been trying to get into, and they can tell you how to break into it. That's the first thing you should use, is family and friends. First thing. So right off the bat, use your community for your favor, and they're going to want to help you. That's what one big thing is. Intent is huge. Your community has your best interest at heart, generally speaking. So they're going to give you some honest suggestions and maybe put in a good word for you with the company, internship. You never know. Career fairs, networking events, socials. Those are big ones, obvious ones, but intercompany events are big too. We're talking about orientations. We're talking about, intercompany socials, team events. It's funny, we were talking about this on the live. Team events are huge networking opportunity, because usually at team events within the company, you got leadership there that you normally wouldn't maybe have time to speak with because they're busy and you're busy. So they have some downtime. Maybe they don't have the suit and tie on or whatever. It's outside the office. They can really build a relationship with you and think, wow, I like this person. I like her. I like him. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for this person going forward. That's huge. So that's huge. If you really can take advantage of team events during company hours or outside of it. And then obviously internships and externships are big. Doesn't matter the limit. Doesn't matter if you were there for a week, a month, the summer. If you're volunteering, use it to your advantage. You never know like, where it could take you. I see some good questions popping up. Why? All right. Why should you network? Okay. So I actually have a funny story about this. Going back, if you go back in time with me, I wasn't necessarily the most social person. If you knew me, then yeah, I would be social. But I had a certain attitude that if you didn't know me, you didn't need to know me at a certain point. And I had a friend of mine. And social butterfly. This guy, I mean, everywhere we went, didn't matter. He's just, hey, whoa, hey, just knew people. And I remember thinking like, wow, that's very useful. I don't know. That's how I thought. I was like, wow, I could use that. That could help me out. So my point is, once I realized that and I saw how useful that was, I kind of started incorporating that and trying to get better at it consciously. And the reason I bring this up is because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who that one conversation that you had, they'll remember you. You guys, social media age, so y'all share a profile here or there, share a LinkedIn. You never know if it could turn into a long-term connection. This could be your future boss, employer, future business partner. Heck, you could open up a business and they might be a good employee for you. So you just never know where it's going to take you. And by just not doing it, you're shutting yourself off from too much. Helps avoid comfort zone. Definitely. So I kind of touched on this, but you get out of this shell of I only do what I know, and that's literally the opposite of growth. Literally the opposite of improving, getting better, promoting, getting to a different tax bracket, whatever you want to measure your growth as. That's doing this consistently will just help you avoid that because you'll get invites and you'll get, somebody will reach out to you that you weren't expecting to. You just have more opportunities to deal with. Definitely sets yourself apart 100%. It's crazy. Here's a fun fact. Number 2, fear. Second fear in America, right? Like the second most popular fear. The number 2 fear in America is death. The number 1 fear in America is public speaking. That's crazy. That's crazy. That blew my mind. But seriously, people, and it comes to like, there's primitive reasons for that, like ostracization and stuff like that. But it really comes down to the fact that communication is not something that everybody is good at. And it's not because they can't be, it's just because it's a lot easier to not be nowadays. So when you can just communicate clearly, express yourself, and engage in a conversation and incorporate yourself into a conversation and keep it going, that already sets you apart, right? Let alone you having like a background, educational background, professional background, skill sets, let alone that. Right off the bat, communication sets you apart in a very, very distinct and apparent way. We have too much at our disposal. Here's what I mean by that. There's too much knowledge, ability, tools at our disposal. Like LinkedIn alone, when we first ran this, it blew my mind. I felt like I felt like just a senior citizen watching you and else talk. I didn't know you could do that. This is amazing. So that's just LinkedIn, right? There's way too much at our disposal on the digital side of things, way too much at our disposal on the in-person side of things. We're in America, which for all its faults, it's probably the best place to build wealth, right? It's best place for financial and career gains. It's probably the best place for it. So it's just by learning how to network, you're able to take full advantage of all that's at our fingertips. All right, Aristotle. So we're going to get a little philosophical with it. If you know anything about me, I'm a little partial to anything Greek. So that's food, desserts, philosophers. So I got a quote from Aristotle, and I'm going to leave you guys with this because I think Somebody's always said it better than me. I wrote it down here. So this is Aristotle. He said, we are what we repeatedly do. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So I wanted to end it there because I think it just sums up the plight of improving yourself, getting better, networking for your net worth. Excellence isn't something that you just do one time, boom, you're excellent. Anybody that's successful at anything has to do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again and steadily improve. So when you don't see the results that you wanted to from maybe LinkedIn or from, what I went over about in-person networking, congratulations, you're on the way. You're at the second step of excellence. And that's it. Thank you.
Great. So we're gonna open the floor for Q&A. I think I saw a couple of messages that came through.
Did you want to do the ones in the comments first or the one in the Q&A section?
Let's, guess we can go to the Q&A section.
Cool. First question says, Milan, interesting comment on the recruiting events. Are you a part of any industry-specific organization, and do you see any value add through participation? So, am I in any industry-specific organization? Yes, I am in a couple project management organizations. Have I been active in them? No. So I can't really say if there is any add value because I haven't been as active as I can. However, if you were in school / just recently finished school, there's this thing called Handshake that's accessible to many of us. And I use that a lot. So I would go to a lot of events that they had, and I would meet recruiters, I'd meet people from jobs, and I mean, it led to interviews, second interviews, offers, whatever the case may be. But I do think that if I was to be more active in these organizations, it could have add value. For instance, I'm in TPN right now. If it wasn't for TPN, like Mevron and Hyolum really helped me a lot to get to the career that I was trying to get to. And I wouldn't have met them if I wasn't a part of that organization. So I do think it does. And I think the second question might be for Nahum. Do you have any strategies you can suggest when approaching people in network settings, such as icebreakers and etc.?
What a great question. Okay, so I think one of the best things you can do. Icebreakers are cool. One of the best things you can do is say your name and say, I just wanted to introduce myself, and then go from there, right? Because it depends on the setting, right? But this doesn't. This works every time. Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Nahum. I just wanted to introduce myself. What was your name? That part's important. What was your name? Because the sweetest thing to someone's ears is their names. Is their name. So tell them your name, find out what theirs is, and then go from there, depending on where you are. Like what's your company if it's at a career fair, or yeah, you're in charge of so and so, right? Yeah, okay, I just joined. And they're wow. And it could really go from there. That's just the most effective to me. The most effective icebreakers. Icebreakers. I guess you could say, depending on the situation, you could offer something. Did you guys see this? Did you guys hear about this? But I don't like that as much as this is my name. Hey, nice to meet you. My name is blank. I just wanted to introduce myself. What was your name? People really like the forwardness, but just the directness, and it's honest, it's genuine. Because icebreakers can sometimes tend to be disingenuous and also seem forced. And if you're not the kind of person that's just like cracking a joke, what the polar bears say when they blah blah blah, right? So if you're not that kind of person, it'll feel weird. But that, I think you can apply at any level, and it can apply to anyone.
It looks like we have another one. Can you guys talk about developing a successful elevator pitch and what/what not to include, specifically for an in-person networking event.
Specifically for Nahum, right? Okay, got it. Can you guys, I'm going to read it again. Can you guys talk about developing a successful elevator pitch and what not to include specifically? Okay, perfect. Name. You want to include your name. You want to include why you're here. You want to include your name, why you're here, what you're currently doing, and then show interest in them. Show interest in what they're doing. Whatever that is, whatever that may be doing, and show interest in why you're kind of approaching them. So it could be something as simple like, "Hi, my name is Milena Quiros. Nice to meet you. What was your name?" Bob. Hey, Bob. Yeah, I'm actually a student at UGA. I'm going to be graduating soon in this field, and I know that you're in charge of, I don't know, pharmaceutical. You're in charge of Farm Corps. Okay, and here's why that really interests me. Could you tell me a little bit about that? That's what I would leave it at. Is could you tell me a little bit about that instead of, can you get me an internship there? Do you guys have any? Are you guys hiring? Is there any availability there? Make it a conversation. He knows, the other person knows you're there for a reason. It's not a politic or like we have to pretend that we like each other, right? It's, you're here for a reason. You showed up to this event for a reason, but make it a conversation. Could you tell me a little bit about it? And then you can have a normal conversation, right? And either it's going to genuinely, organically come up, or you can just ask, okay, I would love a position there. What do I have to do to apply? Please comment if there's anything not clear about the answers.
No, maybe, is there anything that you would touch on, maybe something that you wouldn't include in your elevator pitch? I think that was also kind of part of the question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that was part of the question. I see it sometimes with resumes too. I wouldn't include, it sounds kind of simple, age. There's no need to include age. It never works for you. It never works for you. You're either maybe too young, too old, or it's meaningless. So it never works for you. Age, where you're from, like things that you normally maybe have said in different icebreaker situations, but that just aren't relevant. Yeah, that's two things. Things that would apply. That's really it. Anything else is, I would say, fair game. And even if, this is a good point, even if your background isn't in their field, bring it up. Don't think, oh, I shouldn't talk about my major because it has nothing to do with it. Bring up why you're interested. A lot of companies don't. There's a reason that a lot of graduates leave school and join a profession that's not in their field, right? Because a lot of companies, they don't necessarily think, okay, you have to have the same study of degree that our industry pertains to. They think a degree shows discipline. A degree shows a lot of things, but they can, and then most companies provide training.
And there's always something you can offer that they'll find valuable.
Absolutely, 100%.
There's a follow-up question. Which approach would you guys prefer, going straight to the point after introducing yourself or having a natural conversation?
When you say straight to the point, Milena, does that look like, hi, my name is Milena Quiros and recent graduate UGA. Are you guys hiring? Do you guys have any internships? Yes, I would have something in between there. I'd have something in between there, just because it's already kind of, if you're talking, it's fairly, it's kind of spoken for, right? It's kind of obvious and apparent that you are looking for something. So I would have something. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. It could be one comment. It could be one question. They answer you. You're like, wow, okay. So I'm really interested in the company. Do you guys have any positions open? It could be that much. And that would set you apart. from the other people that are just like, where do I apply? Where do I apply? Yes. And on that note, if you can find something that you can relate to somebody with, game over. Game over. They're like, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from DC. Oh, I was just in DC. Oh, wow, okay. Which part? Boom, boom, boom. Just like that. You're welcome.
I'm just curious, is anyone currently looking for a job or considering it? No, we're all comfortable in our fields. That's cool.
Are there more questions anyone has? Or comments?
Someone said actually always they are, and someone else also said maybe. The reason why I bring it up is I was just gonna do like a quick search to show you how you can find like somebody posting for a job in the field that you're talking about. So, Los, can you share your screen?
Yes.
Cool. In the next year-ish. That's funny. I just got this job and I'm looking for another one. I need it.
Okay. Oh, I need to share my screen. Just
Yeah,
remember
that's
it's
what I'm
not
waiting
sharing
on.
anymore. Yeah.
Go to the search bar, hashtag.
So this is showing an example of what Milan was touching on before about searching for the comments about people who may be hiring. Okay.
I'm hiring.
Do I include the,
No, just I am.
oh, I am?
No, sorry. I, the letter M,
Okay. Hiring.
hiring. Yeah.
Oh,
What do
wait,
you
I have
do?
to get rid of, sorry, I have to get rid of these filters. That's why. Posts. Yeah.
And then also add a second
So,
hashtag.
right. So if you're specifically looking for posts, everyone, make sure you click on that post button. I'm hiring.
I need a second hashtag, please.
A second one. Okay.
Yeah. Well, space bar. Sir.
Space. All right. Sorry.
What's a field? Pick a field. What's a thing people like?
Cybersecurity.
Cool.
Okay. Ooh, I can't spell.
Hmm. I love how that one wasn't a good example. I hate myself. Scroll down a little bit more.
Pharmacy.
But yeah, this first one I think kind of worked.
Well, it's a federal account manager. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
that
you're correct.
I think you'd have to put the actual title that you're looking for. So, like a UX designer or pharmacist, you said?
That's what I
I
said.
think cybersecurity should work. I think that's specific enough.
Scroll then. Let's see what you can find. Associate
Yeah, look.
security analyst. Ooh. So this David person says he's hiring for associate security analyst. You could click on the link and then apply to the job, but why do that when one, you can follow him because he may have more posts about cybersecurity jobs that he'll have in the future. Two, you can comment and say, hey, I'm interested. It looks like a lot of people have already reached out to this person. So you want to kind of make it as personalized as you can. So I would stalk David's page, go to his LinkedIn, see what he's interested in. Maybe he likes dogs, maybe he likes food, maybe there's something that we can talk about outside of the typical, job post. And it'll probably attract him to my comment a little bit more. And then you can also save the post for you later if you're not able to think of something on the spot. And I tend to go to posts that are like a little bit more recent. This says 2 months ago. You can filter that out at the top and change it to posted, date posted. Last week. Yeah. And then it'll make it a little bit easier for you because if it's a month out, they probably have already hired. So it's just a nice little tool to have. And you can also read the comments and see if somebody's like, hey, I'm also hiring for this, and then steal the job and go there too.
And I wouldn't necessarily count out any posts that were, um, maybe a little older than a week. Or maybe if you are specifically looking for the job, because even older posts can get you in touch with, oh, who's actually going to be in charge in this organization, who's in charge of, usually hiring for these kind of positions, and it will still give you an opportunity to connect with the person. All right. Were
Anybody else have
there,
any questions?
yeah, any other questions?
Anything, guys?
And you don't even have to put in the chat if you want to just kind of,
Speak.
yeah, speak, shout out your question.
You're revolutionary, Mel.
Also, Melis and I are happy to help anybody who is looking for a job.
And
Oh yeah, and Nahum. Nahum can tell you how to nail the interview. That's for sure. But if you're looking or considering looking or just want to do a resume review, we're always happy to help. I guess we should put our contact information so you all can reach out to us.
okay, well, if there aren't any more questions, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. The session was recorded, so we will be sharing the recording along with the presentation to everyone, as long as to those who couldn't make it today. I hope you all found it informative, and let's all network for the net worth. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.